Hello, this is my honors project, the artwork of Pluto and Proserpina throughout the ages. Proserpina and her nymphs are out one day picking flowers in a meadow when Cupid strikes Pluto with an arrow, making him fall madly in love with her. So he decides to kidnap her. One of her nymphs does try to stop him, however she is unsuccessful. Pluto takes Proserpina back to the underworld, where she consumes pomegranate seeds, sealing her fate as his wife. Her mother, Cues, makes a deal that Proserpina can return to Earth for a number of months every year. When she emerges, as does spring. So the story is not only a love story, but offers an etiological explanation for the change of seasons. Most of these art pieces have many commonalities, such as character iconography and similar story elements. Pluto is always depicted as a muscled and bearded man, and Proserpina usually has long hair that's knotted up. She's sometimes affiliated with flowers, being the goddess of spring. Additionally, nearly all the art pieces show the chariot and horses of Pluto, as well as the scene in which Pluto first grabs Proserpina. Most of the difference in the pieces of art are due to specific artist choices, such as what the background looks like, what characters from the story are included, as well as the specific medium and art style. However, you can see in the 14th to 17th centuries classical Renaissance art, and more modern day art pieces have styles like cartoons. The earliest depiction of this story was a painting on the walls of a tomb. Much of it is now faded, as you can see in the lower left photo. However, the horses, chariots, and Pluto and Proserpina, as well as one of her nymphs, are still very clear. It's also unique in the depiction of the chariot, is very simple in its design of the spokes and wheel. Jumping nearly 2,000 years forward, Alessandro Veratari created this painting. While many depictions show the meadow of the initial kidnapping, this artist depicts rocks and red lighting to show Pluto actively taking her to the underworld. Cupid is also featured for his role in the kidnapping, which is making Pluto fall in love with Proserpina. The specific title for Bonassone's print is The Loves of the Gods. He is less focused on the actual kidnapping part of the story, and more just on the relationship between Pluto and Proserpina. Yet, Proserpina is still in that awkward embrace of Pluto. This is also unique in that Pluto doesn't have a beard and appears to have a more youthful look. His dog Cerberus is also featured being held by Cupid, which we talked about in the last slide, for his role in their relationship. The background of Niccolo's painting is the first to grab the viewer's attention. Then your eye is drawn forward to the scene happening. He depicts multiple of Proserpina's nymphs, as well as one in the water. This could possibly be Arethusa, which is mentioned in Ovid's rendition of the story. The chariot and horses can be seen in the upper right-hand corner, waiting for Pluto and Proserpina. This painting focused on the exact moment when the nymph Cyan tries to stop Pluto's chariot from getting away. His depiction has the background more fleshed out, showing the distant city as well as some deer. However, unlike Niccolo's painting, this one is more focused on the event itself. Bernini's statue is one of the most famous depictions of Pluto and Proserpina. These are two perspectives of the same statue, so that you can see the three-dimensional aspect of this art. It features Cerberus, the three-headed dog, for Pluto, as well as flowers that the dog is sitting on for Proserpina. Pluto also bears a crown to symbolize his status as king of the underworld. Like Schwartz, Rembrandt depicts the nymphs grabbing at Proserpina to prevent the kidnapping. This painting is unique in its exquisite detailing, from the flowers in Proserpina's hair to the engravings on the big cat featured on the chariot. Moving steadily through the 1600s, woman shows even more of Proserpina's attendants in various states of alarm. Pluto can be seen holding the bident, a two-pronged tool that he is known to carry in other stories. This is the only depiction in which Pluto's chariot and horses are flying, which adds a certain mystical element to this kidnapping. This is one of my favorite pieces because it adds so many details of the story in just one painting. This is showing the moment right before Pluto kidnaps Proserpina. Pluto is holding his bidents, and the Cupids are shown for their own involvement in the kidnapping. Proserpina is laying flowers at her mother, Ceres, her statue. Mount Etna is also shown in the background, which follows Ovid's rendition that this story takes place in Sicily. Crane's portrayal of the story is the only one to prominently feature the narcissus flower as the one Proserpina was picking. It also uniquely shows Pluto wearing his helmet of invisibility. However, he has a trident here instead of the more correct bident that we've seen in previous works. The architecture in the background is also distinctly Greek and Roman. In Russia, only about a decade later, Cheka does his own rendition of the painting, but adds fewer details. He also depicts Pluto with the trident instead of the bident. And unlike the common portrayal of Proserpina fighting back or distressed by Pluto's kidnapping, this scene has her appear almost unconscious. The scene occurs after the initial kidnapping, heading towards the underworld. In the early 1930s, Disney and his team made a short movie, The Goddess of Spring, based on the story of Pluto and Proserpina. Pluto has iconography commonly associated with the Christian devil instead of Pluto, but Proserpina still has her associated flowers and birds as the goddess of spring. Yet in the back of the scene, there's still Greek architecture featured. The little flower people hiding behind the throne on the second photo could be analogous for her nymphs. This is one of many of Benton's paintings featured in the Missouri Capitol. In Benton's rendition, the old farmer is analogous for Pluto and the naked pinup woman for Proserpina. His chariot and horses are replaced with donkeys and cart in the top right corner. While this piece of art is definitely one of the more disturbing ones, it also shows how the story has begun to be reinterpreted with a modern lens. For example, the image of Proserpina is now in the beauty ideal for women of the 30s and 40s, not the Greek and Roman ideal for a woman. Transitioning into the 21st century, we have another statue. This one is made of stainless steel, but the flowers at the base are actually alive, and of course are representative of Proserpina and or spring. Kuhn's interest was less on the story of the kidnapping, but focused on the ideological concepts of the change of the seasons. He said that the gold color was meant to depict the life of the sun. He also clearly drew inspiration from Bernini's statue. In 2018, Smith developed a comic series called Lore Olympus that featured the love story between Hades and Persephone. While the story does deal with concepts like rape, the actual relationship between these characters is completely consensual and modern in the progression of crush, dating, engagement, and then marriage. However, Smith is consistent with her iconography, depicting Proserpina with flowers, and Pluto is often seen with his dog Cerberus. A multitude of artists depicted Pluto and Proserpina during the Renaissance, from the 14th to 17th centuries, but this falls off. There has been a resurgence of Greek fascination in the 21st century. However, the culture around art has changed, that there's so much uncredited, unpublished art by people that can just be found on the internet or social media platforms. Additionally, more modern depictions of Pluto and Proserpina, or Hades and Persephone, are more removed from the original stories. They have been reinterpreted to fit new values or stories of the current age. I'm also one of those people fascinated by the relationship of Pluto and Proserpina. So over winter break, I myself drew Proserpina's heart. There's narcissus flowers growing out of the cavities and pomegranate seeds spilling out with blood from the internal heart. This was one of a series of Greek and Roman art that I did, and Persephone's name in Greek is spelled along the side. Thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely rest of your semester and a great summer. Thank you.